And I can tell you firsthand, one of the biggest stressors of my life was not the work that I had to do. It wasn't the workload that came with the work. It was the expectation of the time and the how the result was going to be in my possession. Welcome to the New Normal Show. I am your host, Ace, and I am grateful to be here yet again on the second episode of the 2.0 version of the podcast. And I'm so grateful to have you. I really do believe I have something that is going to light you up, something that's going to encourage you, inspire you, and hopefully spark you to take some action moving forward. But if you're an OG third quarter podcast member, a TQP, if you will, you would know that the name has changed. We are no longer the third quarter podcast. We are the New Normal Show. I'm not going to go into detail of why that is, why I was gone for 2 months, why the name changed. I'm not going to do that. Why? Because you can check out last episode where I go into detail on why I changed the name, why I took 2 months off from recording the pod, and 5 things that I learned from my sabbatical that I believe can really benefit you if you allow it, man. I got some great stuff in there, but we are here for the 2.0 version of the podcast, and I'm very excited to talk about today's topic, if you will, and it's all about learning to submit outcomes, letting go of outcomes. And if you are here for the first time, I want to say welcome. I'm glad that you're here. If you are someone that wants to grow, and not just grow, but create a new normal, if you will. A new normal is a new way of being. It's a new way of doing. It's a new way of having. It's creating a new standard from which you operate from mind, body, spirit, and relationship. And that's what this is about. It's about creating a new normal for your health, a new normal for your spiritual life, a new normal for your mindset, and a new normal for your relationships, whether it's, your partner, whether it's for your friends, your family, but a new way of just being you, creating a new normal. But the interesting thing about the new normal is once you create a new normal, you also at the same time are eventually going to have a new comfort zone, which means you have to recreate a new normal again. So it's very infinite. It's not finite. And today I want to talk about the importance of letting go, but more specifically, letting go of outcomes. And I can tell you firsthand from my personal experience, my 37 years of being on this earth, probably the hardest thing that I had to learn to do, or at least gain a new appreciation of doing, is submitting. And for many of us, that's hard. It's hard for us to admit that we have to let go of control. It's hard for us to admit that maybe our way of doing things isn't the best way. It's hard for us to say, I submit this process to a power greater than me. And for me, I'm a God-fearing man. I am a Jesus follower. So to submit my will and my desires to God and to follow the way that Jesus wants me to walk, that's hard for most of us, for me to do. But the freedom that comes from letting go is a power that I really cannot compartmentalize into words, just how great it is. But I can say the peace that comes from letting go of said outcome is something that will give you the encouragement, the inspiration, the desire to really go hard for the things that you want to accomplish. And here's what I mean. When you submit things, it's not that you're giving up. So I want to be perfectly clear. When you say I submit, when you're saying I'm letting go, when you're saying that I'm no longer going to provide resistance to something, what you're saying is I'm going to focus on the things that I absolutely 100% can control, which is my energy, my effort, and me showing up each and every day. I can control those things. The how things end up, where I end up, the time that it takes for me to make this thing happen, I am letting go of that. And I can tell you firsthand, one of the biggest stressors of my life was not the work that I had to do. It wasn't the workload that came with the work. It was the expectation of the time and the how the result was going to be in my possession. Now, if you're listening to this right now, wave your hand in your car, in the gym, or wherever you're at. If you are in agreement with me that that is a challenging thing, I struggle with letting go of timetables. Wave your hand. I struggle with letting go of, the how something is going to happen. And I had this revelation a few years ago, probably like around 2020, like 2020, 2021, where I had this revelation that it was about prayer. And if I'm truly going to be a man that prays and believe in the power of prayer, I also have to be a man that believes in the power of God's timing. Because essentially what I'm doing, if I'm praying, if I'm truly giving a prayer to God about something on my life or a friend of mine's life or, my family's life or whatever, essentially what I'm doing is I'm submitting this care, this desire, this burden, this thing that I have on my heart, my mind, and my spirit, and I'm letting it go and I'm giving it to God. And I'm saying, hey, I don't have the answer for this. I don't necessarily know how to do this. I don't know when this thing is going to turn around, but I'm giving this to you. And by doing that, I now admit that this is something that the power that I have cannot do on my own. This is going to require God to use his power to work through me. Okay? And so getting out of the way of the resistance, meaning oftentimes, and I mentioned this in the last pod, we spend a lot of time resisting things, right? Like, for an example, for me, it took me a while to be able to receive love, whether it was from my family, my friends, relationships, whatever the case. It took me a while to stop resisting things that people wanted to give me, not because of the work that I was doing or me believing I had to earn it, but just off the strength of the value that they saw in me. And so for years, when someone wanted to show me how much they cared about me or how much they loved me, it was always met with resilience. Wave my hand, my people, if that's you too. Like, you can't even receive a gift without first going through the, oh, you spent too much on that. Oh, no, that's too much. No, you use that money for something else. Like, how many times have we said that, right? How many times have we put a limit on our own personal value? And all these people want to do is show us how much we've impacted or the value we have, or just purely they see something in us that we don't see in ourselves. So for decades, I was resisting that. And it wasn't until like the last 3 years did I really allow myself to receive. But I had to get out of the way and I had to stop resisting something that wanted to flow to me, right? And that happens in other aspects of our lives too, whether it's career, it's business, it's our health, it's relationships. We get in the way of the flow because we're trying to control everything. We need to know the how, the what, the when, the where, the why. We need to know all the fine prints. And when we put ourselves in that position, we're putting ourselves in a place where we're forced to resist something that organically wants to flow in our possession. So learning to let go and submit the outcomes, it doesn't mean that you're giving up. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It means that you recognize that someone can do this better than you. So if you're a business owner, right, you have limitations as a business owner. There's only so many things you can do as a business owner or entrepreneur or someone that is a high valued individual. You have limits. You have a thing or a few things that you do extremely well, but then you have things that you're just good at, things you're mediocre, or things that you absolutely suck at. But to grow your business, you're going to have to submit the things that you're not good at or the things you're weakest at and hire people or to bring on a team that's strong in those areas where that's their expertise. So what does that do? It gives you your time back so you can focus more of that time into the things that you're an expert at. So now you don't have to deal with the stress of figuring out something that you're never going to figure out. And even if you do, it's going to take you forever. And the quality of your answer is not going to be as good as someone that this is who they are and this is what they do. So the longer that it takes for you to delegate responsibilities to people that can do this better than you, the longer it's going to take for you to succeed and to scale at a high level. And it's the same way with submitting results and outcomes in your personal life. The longer that you think that you can do everything on your own, the longer it's going to take for you to have all the things that are yours. You have to learn to submit the things that you're not good at or you don't know the answer to the expert. Like if you're an Apple person, right? And like if you're listening to this and you're a Samsung, you might want to, you don't have to subscribe. Like you can be a part of the family here, but it's just like, what are we doing at this point? You know what I'm saying? Like it's clear that Apple is the way to go. All right. But if you're an Apple person and you have an issue with your iPhone and you have T-Mobile or Verizon cell service and you take it to one of their stores, there's a limit to the information and the expertise that they can have for your phone. There's a limit. Why? Because they didn't make the phone. They're not the expert of the iPhone. They're expert of cell service sales. That's it. So if you have an internal issue with the phone that is a manufacturing problem, you can't go to a cell service to fix that. And if they try to fix it, they're going to waste their time because that's not what they're designed to do. You got to send it to the maker. You got to go to Apple because they have the capability, the capacity, right? And the assets and the resources to do that because they made the product. So I'm saying all this to say, the sooner that you learn to stop resisting letting things go and submitting outcomes, the longer that it takes for you to do that, the longer you're going to sit in this lull place where you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be angry, you're going to be upset, you're going to be all these different emotions because you're spending a lot of your time trying to figure things out that you're not designed to do. And the things that you are designed to do, you're not giving that any time, love, or attention. So letting things go and submitting really is about like emotional intelligence. You have to really have strong EQ to put your ego aside and say, yo, like I'm struggling with this. I tried all these things. It ain't working. I got to give this up. I got to give this to someone that they are expert to this. Because the longer that I'm trying to figure this puzzle out, the longer I'm driving myself insane. And I'm telling you firsthand, listen, a year ago, I was in the worst shape of my life, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And it all was stemming from me having my hands in too many plates, doing too much, but also trying to control as much as I could. And it led me to this place of just being severely burnt out, overthinking, not getting any sleep, poor eating habits, like drinking too much alcohol, like really doing stuff to help me feel better, all because I was feeling this immense pressure of having to solve all these things on my own. And it wasn't until I said, you know what, bump this. I can't do this anymore, or I'm going to drive myself insane, like literally. And so I had to submit all the things that I was struggling to do on my own and free up all that bandwidth mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, so I can have this time back and this energy back to put towards the things that I can change with my own two hands, like my health and wellness. And you might be listening to this right now and you want to change your health. Like you want to recreate a new normal lifestyle for your health and well-being. But the problem is you don't have any bandwidth to do it because you have so much energy going to places that don't need your services. You need to delegate that. You need to let that go. You're trying to control an outcome in the future, but it's causing you to not take any action in the present for things that's actually going to move the needle forward for you. And it was in that moment that I realized, like, yo, one of the reasons why I'm at where I'm at, being 270 pounds and stressed out and depleted, because I was saying yes to too many things and I was holding on to everything and I wasn't willing to let go. I promise you, in any area of your life, if you don't learn to let go of outcomes and learn to submit, you're always going to struggle in that area. If you're in a relationship right now, you're going to have to learn to submit to your partner in certain areas. This isn't about submitting I'm submitting, so I'm under their command. No. I'm saying there are things that your partner does that's better than you, more efficient than you, and higher quality than you. And the more that you're trying to do this because you're the man or you're the woman, the ego of that title is going to cause such a severe strain in your relationship that you guys are never going to grow. Your partner may have better date night ideas than you, or maybe they're better financially than you, or maybe, you know, they allow themselves to take more risk than you. You play it more safe, and they're like, you know what, we got to take chances. So the more that you submit to their strengths, the more the relationship, like rising tides raise all boats. So if you allow your boat to submit to your partner's tide, you have no choice but to grow, but you guys are going to grow together. If you're hanging on to how you used to look in high school and how you used to look in college, and you're 50 years old and you're not letting that go, you're never going to tap into a new normal health for you right now because you're trying to recreate what used to be. You got to let that go and submit that so you can step into this newer version of you that really can be better than who you were at 18. I'm 37 years old. I'm in the best shape I've ever been holistically, right, at 37. But if I was trying to do what I used to do, playing college ball, pro, and a fitness model, it wouldn't work. I had to let that version of me die. You see, one of the reasons why you might be struggling is because there's a version of you, there are ideas that you have, there are ideals that you have to die out. You cannot be reborn unless there was a death first. The reason why I was able to lose 70 pounds and just completely create this new normal life for me in all aspects, I had to be willing to submit the older version of me at the altar and be willing to let whatever was not going to serve me into this 2.0 version of me. I had to be willing to let that die out. I had to let go of that. And most people aren't willing to do that. I wasn't for a long period of time until I realized, like, yo, If I want to do something that I've never done, I really have to do something that I've never done. If I want to go somewhere I've never been, I got to do something that I've never done. Because I've tried it this way before. And I've seen this movie. I get the same result over and over and over again. And I got tired of it. And so learning to let go and submit outcomes is a key to growth because, one, you are operating not through ego anymore. You don't care if you're the reason why something happens. You don't care. You guys know I'm a basketball guy. One of the reasons why Steph Curry is who he is because he does not care if he gets the credit or not. He doesn't care if he's considered the greatest shooter of all time. We all know he is, but he never says he is. When Kevin Durant went to Golden State, Steph Curry didn't care if he led the team in scoring. He didn't care if he won Finals MVP. He let Kevin Durant be the number one option on his team. How many top 5, 10 players of all time? I have Steph Curry in the top 5 of all time. So let's just say top 10. That's more consensus. How many top 10 players on that list would let someone who's not in the top 10 of all time, maybe top 15, top 20, be the number one option on their team? How many of them? Kobe and Shaq wouldn't work. You think Jordan would submit to somebody? Has LeBron ever submitted to anybody? No shade to these guys. I'm just saying, one of the things that makes Steph Curry so great is that he doesn't care about having control of being number one because he knows that there are things that Durant can do that he can't that's going to be beneficial for the team. And so submitting that ego allowed them to have one of the greatest seasons of all time and to win back-to-back NBA finals and then go to the finals for 3 years in a row. And no one is saying that Steph Curry isn't whatever because after Durant left, what happens? Oh, Steph just wins another championship and a finals MVP. Has Durant been back to the finals since he left him? Nope. So the point that I'm making is this. The sooner you learn to let go of your ego and submit outcomes and not try to control everything, the sooner you are going to expedite your results in any avenue. Because now you're removing the resistance and you're allowing the outcome that you desire to come to you instead of you being so focused of trying to go to it. The biggest killer in my life of results was me trying to get the result. The fight or flight of the result happening or not. The times I've had the most peace and I've had the most success with the least effort and in less time is when I was not in resistance, right? I was not like resisting the flow and I got out of the way and let what I wanted to want me back. Because a part of getting out of the way, it allows you to become the person that the goal that you want to want you back. Remember, God has designed everything for relationship. And so it doesn't matter if you desire to have this kind of partner. The question is, does that kind of partner want to be in a relationship with you? So instead of trying to chase the money and control the money, become the person that money wants to be with. Instead of trying to chase good health and do 2-a-days and do keto and do all these fasting and stuff that I'm not knocking or saying don't do or do, become the person that health wants to be with. So the sooner that you let go and submit the outcome, it frees you from the pressure of pursuit. And then it allows you to have more peace and it allows you to operate from a place of being calm. So you're no longer operating from fear or operating from need, and it puts you in a posture of want. And when you're in a posture of want, you know that it's not about how fast you get something. It's inevitable that the thing that you want is going to want you back. So whenever you're in a relationship, you're in a career, you're doing something, you're so relaxed because you know it's not about you getting something. It's about you becoming the person that the thing wants to be in association with. And when you operate from that place, it's only a matter of time for you to have exactly what it is that you want. Okay? So stop trying to control everything. Learn to let go. Be comfortable with being out of the equation of the result and just play the position of becoming the person that you need to be along the journey, and you will have the very thing that you want. I hope this episode blessed you. I hope it served you. Please, please, please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you're new. Don't forget to rate us 5 stars and also leave a kind review. I will be reading reviews on the podcast frequently. So leave a kind review and you could potentially have your review read on the podcast. And we're also going to be doing giveaways too. So the more that you like, the more that you share it, the more that you comment, it's going to increase the chances of you getting a prize from the podcast. So, but yeah, I love you so much. Be safe, be blessed. And thank you for listening to the New Normal Show.